Hello, and welcome to another episode of Spotlight. We have today Katie Smith with us. She's the queen of customer journey and a fractional CMO with WellPath on Consulting. Katie, really, really happy and excited to have you here today. Would you mind introducing yourself to our guest?
Sure, thank you. And thanks so much for having me. I'm Katie Smith. I am a fractional CMO, which means that I come into different businesses in the role of marketing leadership to help organizations get to the next level of their growth. I herd all the cats, make sure we have all the plans ready for the best marketing journey that we can possibly build.
Awesome. Excited to dive into this journey with you. I know that you have really good experience with manufacturing services, so I'll go ahead and introduce the company that we'll see today. I believe, I mean, neither you and I know these people, so I hope they don't mind. This is their website. So what we're gonna do today is that we're going to see about your journey without basically no data. So would you care giving us some details of what do you think would be the buyer persona or the ICP of this company so we can go ahead and dive into the offers?
Sure. So this company is focused on business to business. They're a manufacturing machining company. So they work with people who need parts and services to be made. So their customer is probably someone who's in research and development. They're creating something new, and the customer's pain points are they're creating new parts. So they need things to be made quickly. They need them to be made correctly and well, and they also need the communication to be fast, the delivery to be fast, because their customer is waiting on these parts to come in so that they can continue to do their job. So that's really what they're focused on. I really like that high quality
Yeah.
precision. Those are going to be keywords that people who are looking at their business are going to be really important to them. That getting the job done, I mean, that is that main piece of information that they need to know to feel like they're going to be taken care of and they can trust this company.
Yeah, absolutely. Love that. Really great insights and thank you for that. They probably need a little help with our website. But let's focus right now on messaging. So this is if someone comes to you, taking into consideration like we have no data, they probably have no content out there, and we put these offers in 7 steps. So being number one, basically the awareness or giving, helping the user know the brand, and number seven, more like loyalty and also like already the user making a conversion. If we give you the no data, no background, how would you approach this plan?
Sure. So I think it's important to point out that when we create a customer journey for us for our company, we need to build it linearly, like you have here, for us to keep things organized. But our people are not going to travel this linearly. So we need to keep that in mind. So I kind of would group some of these things together as possible places where people could bump into us. So one and two, I would group those together. So, I think a case study is a really great piece of information. And I think like a chart that explains why they are better compared to other things. What I really like about the chart that you have there is thinking about the buyer's thought
Yeah.
process when they first discover you. In that first phase, they don't care about you or your business. They care about their pain points, what they want to get done. And so having a chart that kind of compares, CNC machining versus other traditional methods, that sets their process out as a differentiator and not just their business is really important in those first stages. People are not ready to hear about your
Hmm.
business. They're not ready to hear about your company. They just want to know that you can solve their problem. They don't really care about the how in this stage. So having, a case study is also a great thing. I think that's maybe a little bit deeper when people start to think, oh, I've seen this chart. Maybe this is something for me. if they look at a case study, you present something to them where they relate to the company that you've worked with and they see the success that somebody else who's like them has had, that can start to build a little bit more trust as well. So in those first stages, you really have to thinking about it from the eyes of the customer, thinking about the needs, how they're
Yeah.
feeling in that moment and what they need in that moment is really important. And so having pieces like that where they can just see themselves inside the piece is really important. Um, I think it's also important that we think about how do we get people to discover these,
Right.
right? So part of your journey is like, what advertising are we using? What partnerships are we using to get these into the hands of people? So when I'm considering this and when I would come and work with you, I'd already have a plan for how we're going to get people to here. And then working with you, we'd come up with what are these top discovery pieces of information like this case study, like this chart, that are going to let people see themselves in our customers and see themselves in us, and how we would help them overcome their problems.
Yeah, no, really love that because I think you hit the nail there because the first at least one or two stages, what you want to do is offer a high value content that people choose at least open of one of your profiles, so leave their contact information, so you're able to keep nurturing them through different channels as you mentioned, because this is linear visually, but at the end of the day, each of these steps are connected between each other. So thank you a lot for those insights. What other key takeaways do you think that we can get from this plan for the Daily Journey?
So I think what we're doing right here is laying a foundation of trust. And that's the most important thing. So something that's really come out of the pandemic, it was moving that way before, but the pandemic really moved things forward, is that people want to have more of that customer journey in their hands. They don't want to talk to somebody until they're further down the line, further than we've seen previously. So we need to have enough content for people to kind of bump into, to consume, and we need to create like a digital path for them to follow on our
Mhm.
website. So, when they're if they've downloaded a chart to read, we need to give them the next thing that they can consume, um, before just only pushing them to making a phone call. We want to make sure that we have enough content in that first stage of building trust that people feel ready to make a phone call. They feel like they have all the information that they need. Nowadays, people don't like to get pushed into that
Yeah.
contact. They want to be able to make that decision on their own, and they want to have choices. So I would say consider the call to action and all of these first ones. You can have two. So the first one would be like, need more. You'd link them to the next piece of informative content like this, and or ready to talk to somebody, and then they can choose. If you allow people to consider information, allow them to gain more, learn more, and then allow them to choose when they're ready, that is going to build a lot of trust. And when we get to that next step, that sales process, it's going to be easier for our sales team. Their customers are going to be more informed, and they're going to have to spend less time trying to convince them to trust the company. The customer's already going to have a higher level of trust if we just give them a lot of information to bump into, information to learn on, and then give them a choice of learning more or connecting with us. People don't want to have to talk to somebody before they can get more information.
No, absolutely true. And I know that with this type of businesses, when we're talk, that sometimes time or budget is a constraint. So if you were asked to prioritize what kind of content is going out there, um, what would you prioritize from this plan? What would you start with to at least gather some data to keep uh, connecting with the users, as you say?
So we really need to know what the resources are available to us. So I like to be very flexible. There's not one right way to do marketing. There's not one like there's no silver bullet. So that's good and that's bad,
Yes.
because if there was a silver bullet, it would be easy. But it's good because it means that depending on what resources you have, who you have in your company and their skill sets, what you're ready to take on, we can build a plan around that. I think that we can look at what we have
Ready.
going on, um, what resources that we have in the company, and what our company goals are. We can also look at, I think it's really important to look at where our customers are hanging out. So you have to decide not just what you're going to put out there, but how are you going to direct people to these pieces? How are you going to get them in? So those are things that we would really focus on. If you have limited budget, it really depends on where your needs are in that customer journey. So for a lot of people, this first part, this acquisition, getting people into the sales funnel and sales pipeline is really important. And so maybe we do start by focusing there and developing 2 to 3 pieces of content. The other great thing about these long pieces of content is that you can use them for multiple things multiple times. So that's really key in getting the most out of these, this work, this creation that you're putting into. You can take pieces, chop them down for social posts. For a B2B company, I would imagine that you're on LinkedIn. You can piece them out into advertising. You can create videos off of the same content. There's so much that you can do to repurpose it. You can take these and put them into an email drip that you have. If somebody downloads something, you can guide them along the path and add in other pieces. So really important to think about these pieces that you're creating as not just a one-off. You want to think about all the ways that you can use it throughout the journey. I mean, these pieces could even be recycled with later in the sales cycle. If you have somebody who you're really interested in, maybe they are like, this is an oil and gas client. It's a no-brainer for your sales team to be able to say, hey, we did a project that was similar to this. Let me send you that case study so that you can read it. So it's really important to think about all the ways that you can repurpose these all along the journey. And then that makes the value of them a little bit higher. And it also means you don't have to produce as much content, because if you are able to use these in different areas, then you don't have to keep creating new. You can repost these on social media, 6 times a year, really, up to 6 times a year. The same thing. You just pull out different pieces of it. So I think that's really important for people
Yeah.
to remember, because there is a lot of upfront time, potentially upfront cost in creating these materials. So use them as much as possible.
Yeah. I really love that you mentioned that, because a lot of decision makers think that this is like a really high investment and that this is just like a one-off thing, we're literally like, when if the plan is well structured and you look at the um like to the long-term plan, you really can repurpose this. You can retarget people with this. You can use it on sales. That a lot of people really like disconnect marketing from sales and sales from marketing. When they work together is when you actually get like a great conversion rate. So that's a really, really great insight. Thank you so much. Are there any other major takeaways you would like to mention before we wrap it up?
So I think going down into this process, I think it's important to consider how people might be moving through this, right? So once hopefully they've read all of our good content, we've really talked about just the awareness stage and some of this consideration stage. So people are learning about you, giving them that choice. Always give them a choice to connect with somebody, and you can make that the bigger call to action if you want. But making sure that you're always telling people what their next actions are. Your call to action, no matter what stage you are, is so important, because it takes decision fatigue out of the equation for people. It takes the effort out. If you tell them, click on this next article, if you tell them, book a call, they know what to do next. They don't have to think about it. It's really a gift for people. So in every stage of your journey, make sure that you're telling people what the next step is, especially, in this consideration stage that we've really been talking about. I always think that there's two call to actions: read more, research more, or move to the next stage, that sales stage, and start talking to somebody. Always give them the options and make them very clear.
Absolutely love that. Always make the user feel like they're in control because they don't want to be told what to do. They want to feel like there's the ones taking the decision and the purchase. They're just being informed by the brands. Fantastic insights. Thank you so much, Katie. Where can an audience find you? I know you have a website on LinkedIn. If you wanna mention that, hope we
Yeah.
can drive some traffic there. Yeah.
So I really like to hang out on LinkedIn, and you can find me. My name is Katie Smith, and there are a lot of us. So you need to search Katie Smith Wild Path Consulting, and then you can find me there. I love to chat marketing. I love to talk there. But if you also are interested in my website, my case studies, you can find me at followthewildpath.com, and I have a bunch of information up there.
Lovely. I really like your website, and I've always been a fan of the name. So thank you so much, and I hope we chat again.
Yeah, thank you so much. I really enjoyed it.